record. Okay, all right, so to say, welcome to today's webinar, which is about fast formatting in PowerPoint. Now, when you are creating a PowerPoint presentation, remember, it's not about the slides, it's about you, it's about your message, it's about what you're talking about, it's about your audience, what they're there to hear, and that sort of thing. Your PowerPoint slides are just your backdrop for you. Okay? They're just there to really help your audience better understand and retain your message, and that's a really important point. So you don't want to spend a lot of time on formatting your slides, so let's go through some quick ways that you can do that. I would advise you as well to watch our webinar that was called Avoiding Death by PowerPoint. We'll go a little bit more into how you go about planning your presentation, how you make sure that it's truly effective. One of the big messages is bullet points are not the way to get your message across. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at some faster formatting. I'm just going to turn my video camera off. Okay, excellent. So let's get stuck in. So I've got some slides here that I made earlier. So you can see I've got a few different ones. I've got a title slide. I've got a formatting one with some bullet points and stuff. I've got a diagram, and I've got one with charts in. So let's have a look at the sort of general look and feel of this. So PowerPoint runs on a thing called themes. And so if we go into the design tab up here, so I've got this design tab, and on the design tab, you'll see that we've got all of these different themes here. Now you'll see as I hover over these ones, is it not going to change it for me? I maybe need to be in the other view. Let me have a look. Yeah, so as I hover over these, it will show you individual slides and how they're going to change. Yeah. But this will affect all of the slides. So if I click on this one here, for example, and again, I do some hovering over, you can see you can make a big difference. So let me just go back to this slide sorter view, and let's pick a different theme. So you can see how just by the single click of a button, you can change your formatting. So these are inbuilt themes that come with, I'm using PowerPoint 2016, but themes have been around since PowerPoint 2007. So I can go like that, and there we go. We've got a different kind of theme there. You can also create your own themes, and you can look for themes on office.com, so you can actually get them off the internet, other people have created. We can go for this kind of thing. It's kind of fun, you know, so it depends on what your message is, what you want to do. Okay, so that's how we can go about changing the themes, but let me just let's go with that one there. Now you'll also notice that over on this side, I've got my variants. So I can hover over these, and you'll see that that will also change things like the color schemes. Okay. So there's different things that I can do there. All right. Now, so these themes are made up of things, as you can see, like backgrounds and so on. They're also made up of color schemes and font schemes, and also what we call object schemes as well. So, you know, whether things appear with whether they have a shadow on them and those sorts of things, you know, glows and those sorts of things are all part of the theme as well. Now you can amend these themes, or you can create your own themes as well. I'm going to go back to a more basic theme, so it's easy for us to see what we can do here. So if I wanted to create my own theme, there's different ways that you can do it. Okay, so let me just go into my master view. Okay, so I'm just in my master view here. Now, masters are really important. I'm going to talk about masters in a bit more detail in a moment. Oh, just in case you're wondering, you'll notice here that now I'm in slide master view. I can close this master view, and it'll take me back to here. What I did was I clicked on this normal view, and I held down my shift key, because I love keyboard shortcuts. But the other way to get here is if you go, because it's something you can see, so you go through your view menu, and here you'll see you've got slide master. You've also got handout master and notes master. We'll look at the slide master for now. Okay, so I'll talk about the masters in a little bit more detail. Let me just go up to this mother master up here, and you'll see here I've got the theme. So I can come in here and I can edit the theme. These are those same themes that we were looking at. But then we've also got what these themes are made up from. So if I want to, I can come in and I can change the color theme, and that will only change the colors. It won't change the backgrounds and so on. I've got here fonts, so I can create, I can change the fonts. You'll see as I did that, it started to change what things look like. Yeah, so I can do something like that. And the effects is, let's say, what kind of effects. If things are going to automatically have a bevel edge, are they going to have a shadow? You know, are they going to have some reflection on them, and those sorts of things. This is about the defaults, so you can still change all your individual elements. But if you set up your defaults how you like them, then that means that you don't have to spend time formatting each individual slide. Okay, all right. So that's just some basic introduction into themes. There's a lot more about that. But really, if you want to know more about that, it's because you're going to be designing for other people to use, you know, designing templates. There's a fabulous book by Echo Swinford and Julie Turberg that's called, gosh, I'll put it up on the Q&A later. It's about designing PowerPoint templates. So it's about how do you design templates, including things like themes and variants and that sort of thing. But that's probably about as much as you need to know about themes. We've also got in here things like background styles. So I can change the background styles as well quite easily. And one of the advantages of the background styles and making sure that you're using themes appropriately is that, let's say, because a dark background with light text on it works better in certain circumstances, depending on the lighting in a room, and then a white background, a lighter color background with dark text works in other circumstances. So if you've used your themes quite well and you walk into a room and go, oh, I don't want it to be, actually, I've gone with a light background with dark text, but actually I want to flip that. You'll notice that if I change my background style, it also changes the font style there as well. So this is really important why if you use themes rather than going and doing individual formatting. All right, so that's really all I want to talk to you about with themes. Let's now talk about masters. So you'll see here I've got this master here, and you see when I hover over it, it's called the Office Theme Slide Master used by slides 1 to 4. This is what I call the mother master, and then below it there are baby masters. Okay? So these control the elements that are on your screen for all the different slide types. So if I go back to here, you'll see how when I go in to insert a new slide, there are all these different slide types. They correspond with the baby masters. Okay? So they correspond to these baby masters. Now, if I add something to the mother master, let's say that I want to put in a logo or something like that. In this case, I'll just put in a square. Let's say that I have a square that I want to put up here, and I formatted it in a certain way. And I've just put some text in there. Okay. Now, you'll notice that that now appears everywhere. So it appears on all the baby masters as well, which means that now appears on all of my slides. So anything that appears on your master will appear on all of your slides. Okay? So if you want to have a logo on every slide, which trust me, you do not, but anyway, if you did want to have a particular element on every slide, you put it onto the master and that'll save you putting it onto different slides. Now, just while we're talking about that stuff, if let's say on this particular slide, I felt that it was interfering with my chart because I wanted to make my chart, bigger and fill the screen a little bit more, and it started to interfere. One of the things that I can do is I can go into the design where has it gone? Right, I always do this by right-clicking. So I'm going to right-click. If I right-click on the background of the slide, so right-clicking over here was getting me something else, but right-clicking here, I've got here Format Background. When I format the background, it opens up this little side panel here. And one of the things I can do is click on Hide Background Graphics. Okay? So hiding background graphics will just hide anything, any elements that are on that master slide that you don't want to appear on this particular slide. Okay? So that's the easy way to do that. Okay. So other things that I can do with my masters is, now let's say that I wanted to come in here. Now you'll notice I can't edit that because that's on my mother master. I can only edit that on my mother master. If I wanted to have another element that was just on the master, this one, the title slide, I can come in here and let's add in another element. Let's add in another square just here. Let's say, whoops. Added another thing, I make that one green. And that's going to annoy me if it's not exactly the same size. Lovely. So you'll notice on the side here that that is only on that particular master. And when I come in here, that will only appear on the slides that are based on that type. Okay. So ones that aren't based on that type of slide, and again, I can see that when I look at my new slide, it's only based on title and content. So it's not in section headers, that sort of thing. Okay. And I can do things, so I can have as much fun as I want. In here, I can come in things like my section headers. I can say hide background graphics on this particular type of my mini master. I can go into backgrounds and say I want this one to be blue because I really want it to stand out. And then when I come back here, if I then say we've got a new slide here, I've got my section headers. Okay. So spending some time formatting your masters, so your mother master and your baby masters, will really save you heaps of time with formatting. Okay. I've seen people who come in here and go, well, I don't like this title the way that this is done, so I'm going to delete titles. I'm just going to add text boxes to every single slide. Please don't do that. Come in and sort out your masters. So remember, you can use your Shift key and click on this little button down here, or you can go into View and go to Slide Masters. Now, if I want to as well, I can create new slide masters. So I've got here, I can just right-click that and I can duplicate that slide master, and it will duplicate it and all of the little masters underneath it, and then I can edit those and format those any way that I want to. Okay. So that's masters. This is also, sorry, by the way, where you can control things like whether or not you've got slide numbers, whether you've got the date, you've got times, things like that. Personally, I hate slide numbers on slides. Anyway, but that's just me, maybe. So from here, you've got things like you're inserting placeholders, so I can add in different sort of content and text and pictures and media and all sorts of things. I can say whether this has a title or not, whether this has the footers or not, and so on. Okay. I can also rename these, by the way. So let's say that I've got a bunch of section headers. So I sometimes do this. I have section headers. I have them in different colors. So I'll say that one's that one. You'll notice that that's now called 1_section header. So I might want to rename that as, I might call that grey section header, or whatever I wanted to do. Okay. Any questions on the slide masters? Let's pause for a moment, have a quick drink of water. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming in on slide masters. All right, in that case, let's close out of that. All right, so other fast formatting that we can do. So let's see that I've got this diagram here that I created. So those diagrams here, I've got these SmartArt tools here. So I just inserted some SmartArt. I can come in here and I can change the layout of it, for example. There, I want it to look like that instead. And whatever one of these is going to be appropriate for my content. But I can also from here change the look and feel of it. So I can do things like adding the bevel and so on. Remember, it's popped this one in because this is part of the theme. It's this simple fill is part of this theme, but I can change these and go with other things, and these ones. Okay. I could also do things changing the colors. Now these colors are based on the theme colors. So if you wanted to change these colors throughout your presentation, you would change it by changing the theme colors or changing the entire theme. But I can make it colorful, for example. I can come and I can do a similar thing with my chart, with my formatting. That would be through the design stuff. So I can change colors in here. I can just go with the gradient ones. I can make it colorful. Okay. One of the powerful things to do with charts is to sort of gray everything out and then pick an individual thing that you want to change the color of, and change the fill on that one to really make that one stand out, or something like that. So there's all sorts of things that you can do in there. But again, by using those theme colors rather than individually formatting different elements, it really means that it's really fast to create a consistent look and feel to your presentation. Okay. All right. Now, let me just add in a new slide here. I'm just going to go with the title only. Slide for here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to change that to, let's just do a blank one. Okay, so let's now have a look at other things that I can do. I'm just going to get rid of that square because that's going to confuse me any moment now. I'm going to start formatting some of things like my text box and that sort of thing. I'm going to come up here. Now, you can see the type of tools that I use a lot when I'm in PowerPoint because I've got them all on my quick access toolbar. But this is from the insert menu, inserting shapes. By the way, if you also wanted to add that to your quick access toolbar, you can just right click and say add to quick access toolbar, and then it will appear here and you can access it anytime you want. But for now, I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to create a square. By the way, if you hold down the shift key, it will actually create a square. Another little tip for you, or a perfect circle if you're doing circles, just holding the shift key while you draw it. So there we go. So I've got that one there, and you can see that I've got my different colours here that are based on my themes. So I can change that one to green if I want to. I can also change the fill just using, I've added that to my drop down, but that's in the formatting, and that's that shape fill button there. I'll make it light green, and I'll also just get rid of the, let's get rid of the, I'll say I don't want any outline. So let's say that I'm really happy with this particular shape. One of the things I can do is I can just say Control and drag, and that will allow me just to create a second one. I can then do Control D, and that will duplicate it. If I then drag that and move it along and I hit Control D again, one of the things that it's done is it's gone, oh, look, you were lining these all out neatly and tidily. So I'm going to do the same thing. Okay? So it's actually created it in the same equidistant as the one that I created there. So those distances there are the same, which saves a lot of time when you're doing this sort of thing. Another thing that you can do from here, excuse me, I'm just going to cough. Let me just mute myself. Sorry, is let's say that I drag that to here. I can then grab all of those and I can then use my distribute horizontally, and that'll just distribute all of those evenly as well. So that's another quick way to format things. One of the things I can also do here is, let's say that I go, actually I want that to be blue, and I want it to have a shape effect. Let's put a little drop shadow on it, for example. Let's put a little drop shadow on that one and so on. So let's say I really like that. I can go to my format painter and I can single click that and paint that formatting somewhere else. Or if I double click my format painter, I can just copy that to everything. Okay, so that's the format painter. So format painter is another really handy way to copy formatting from one place to another. It doesn't necessarily work for everything. It doesn't pick up all of your formatting, but it does pick up most stuff, and it will certainly help you. And what you can do is you can copy that formatting from one slide to another as well, so it's not just on a single slide. Okay. Other quick things that we can do with formatting. So let's say I've actually now got some text in here. Okay, so I've got some text in there. Now, please, by the way, please note that you can add text to any shape. You do not need to create a shape and a text box. You can add a text to any shape at all. Okay, I'm just going to emphasize that because I've seen a lot of presentations that come through and they've got text boxes grouped with shapes, and it just makes life more complicated than it needs to be. All right, so let's say that I've grabbed this and I've decided, I've got my theme fonts at the top there, but I've decided that I want to go with Algerian for this particular one, and I want to make it bigger, not that big, there we go, and that sort of thing. So then I come in here and I start typing. Okay. So again, I can use my, let's see whether format painter is going to work for that. Yep, there it does. So I can get my format painter to use with that. One of the other things that I can do though is I can say, well, hang on, I really like this shape, so I'm really happy with how I've got this set up. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to say this, set as default shape. Okay, So if I now say set as default shape, and I come in and I now do a new shape, and I can do, let's make this different kind of thing, and let's do another shape. Let's do an oval over here. Okay, you see, so it's picked up that blue color, it's got no outline, and it's got that drop shadow. Now, also, when I start typing, it's picked up the font and the font size as well. Okay, so that's really handy. So once you've got a shape formatted how you want it to be formatted within your PowerPoint slide, within your file, if you just do that right click and say set as default shape, it will just then pick up on all those formatting, and then every time you add another shape, you'll see it's picked up things like the font and font size, it's picked up that drop shadow, it's picked up the color, and it's also picked up the fact it has no outline. Other things you can format in shapes, by the way, let me just right click and say format shape. So there are other things in here. We've got things like our solid fill, we can do gradient fills, pictures and patterns, and so on. We've got the line formatting there as well. I've also got text options, so that's as well if I want to do things like put drop shadows on my text, which, you know, please don't, but if you did want to put a glow on my text, I could do. It's pretty horrendous, but just showing you what's possible. But one of the things that's really important in here is this text options, my text box options. So in your format and your text options, your text box, this is one of the most important ones, okay? So if you find that your boxes, as soon as you put text in them, they start reshaping themselves, and it's really, really annoying, it's because you've got this resize shape to fit text, yeah? So if I now try to, right, you can waste a lot of time messing with that. So just put on the do not auto fit, and there you go. That will then stop it. You can also shrink text on overflow. So for example, that was when, you know, earlier when I made that bigger and it started to do that. Oh, did I actually do that on the shrink text on autoflow? Overflow. Let's just see if it's going to pick up on that now. Oh, no, it's not going to do it for me. I tell you why it is. It's because it's messing me about. I don't do that anyway because I like to have control over my formatting. So I like to know that if 30, you know, if I was using 40 and 40 wasn't fitting in that particular text box, I don't want it to automatically resize that because I want to make sure that I'm making my formatting consistent. And if I let PowerPoint make decisions for me, it means that I don't have control and I then don't necessarily have consistency. So there you go. That's how you do that with that formatting shape, with that do not auto fit. This is also where you've got things like your margin sizes and your vertical alignment as well. Okay. So that's how you can do that fast formatting. Now, just so you know as well, you can do that for lines. Now, let's say now I decide to have a line that joins these two boxes together. Okay. So I've got a line here. I can say I want the weight on that. I want that line to be like that, and I also want to have, you know, it needs to have a bit of a shadow, a drop shadow on it as well, just to make it more consistent. But actually, I'm going to make that orange, and I'm going to do, wait, now I'm going to do dashes. Make it dashy, whatever I want to do. If I now, again, I can right click and set as default line. So you've got two defaults, you've got default line and default shape. Now if I come in here and I draw another line, from here to here, it's picked up on that default as well. Okay. Oh, another little tip for you. If I come in here, let's see if this works, this doesn't always work. If I double click, that should then mean that, no, it's not worked for me. Try right clicking instead. Okay, lock drawing mode means that I should now be able to just draw a bunch of lines. Okay, let's hit escape to get rid of that. Oh, also, I just wanted to show you, because I drew that box before I set my default, you'll see that it's gone back to being that default. But what I can do is, so that was what the original default was before I said right click and set as default box. So remember that I can grab this from here and I can go Format Painter and I can format that there. Okay. All right. So that was everything that I wanted to show you with getting some really fast formatting done. This fast layout, I might show you some stuff around fast layouts as well. So let me just create another slide quickly. I'm just going to format the background and get rid of that background graphic there. So one of the things that I love to do, as you can see, is I can draw some boxes here. Okay. And I can just Control D that, and I can go, let's say that I wanted boxes along the top here, and then I can grab those and say Control D again, and I can then just drag that to here. Now these little, you can see that little line that's appearing there? There was a little line there, that's just to show me I've got alignment. Okay, so that's letting me do alignment. Okay. Let's say I changed my mind and I went, actually I don't want this grid like this, I want one over here, and I want one here and one here. Things that I can do then is I can say, and I want them all lined out a bit better, so let's grab these ones. I'm going to grab those and I'm going to say I want you to distribute those, and then I want these ones distributed as well. Let's distribute these relative to each other or relative to the slide. So I can come in here to show you where all this stuff is stored. This is in the alignment, okay? So I can align selected objects or I can align to slide. So you see now I've got align to slide, and so I want you to distribute those vertically. So that's now in terms of the slide. One thing that I can do here is I can then grab all those again and say, okay, I want you to align those at the bottom. Oops, Control Z, because I've got those still aligned to the slide. So align to selected objects, align to each other. I can say make sure these are aligned to the left. Yes, they are. I want these ones aligned with the bottom with each other. I want these aligned with the bottom of each other. I want these ones. I can't just grab these ones. I'm just going to use my Control key to grab those. So I'm going to align those to the left. These ones as well, I'm going to align to the left too. There you go. So it's really quick and easy to use those buttons to align things as well. So that's a really quick way to do some formatting as well. Okay, I do have a question. Let me just nip to the questions. How do you add the crosshairs you have on the slide? Ah, okay. So the crosshairs that I have on the slide, these are great things as well. Let me just show you first of all how you can turn them on. Again, I'm right-clicking, and this is Grid and Guides. This is probably in the View menu as well. So I've got here Guides and Smart Guides. You can turn on the grid lines as well, and you can set grid lines. I don't like grid lines. I find them annoying, but you can just turn on these guides. Now these guides here, they're set to be at 0, 0. So you'll see if I hover, is that one going to let me? It's not going to do it. All right. I can add, I think it's up to 8 of these I can add. You see how that says 0, 0, 0? If I drag that around, you see it's moving. And if I hold my, so let's say I've decided that the side of my slide is going to be at 15.4. If I use my Control key as well, it actually creates an extra guideline, and then I can say, well, I want another one over the other side that's also at 15.4, 15.4, and then I can make sure that I'm aligning side by side as well. Yeah, so, and then I can distribute those too. Yeah, also these things should then snap to it, so it's easy then to drag stuff around. So that answers that question. Okay. Yeah, so those crosshairs, those guides are really, really useful. I find them really handy for making sure that you're lining things up nicely and neatly. Okay. All right. So as I say, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you about how you do that really fast formatting. So let's just run through a few things again. Remember that we have got, on your Design tab, you've got all of these themes. Okay. So you'll see there, if I change my theme, it's going to change everything throughout my document. So I can change my themes here as well, and that's going to go through and change everything. There you go, that didn't stick the first time, but there we go, now it has done. So it's gone through and it's making all those changes. It's picking up on the fonts and so on. One font it's not picking up on is this one here, because remember that was direct formatting, but this one here was not. That's still picking up on the theme. Okay, so it's going to pick up on all of my different themes. And we've got then the variants that we can do to change sort of backgrounds and things like that. So that was those themes. We went in and we had a look through View and Slide Master. So we came in here and we had a look at how we've got a Mother Master. And anything I put on the Mother Master is going to appear on every single little mini master, unless I've clicked Hide Background Graphics, and then I'll get rid of it. Okay. Then we could add in our own as well. So we added a couple of our own. We've got the, we added a different one of that one. And we also then, I showed you how you could do if you wanted to come in here, and you can actually go in and create your own color scheme as well if you wanted to. You've got your fonts, you can create your own font scheme as well, and all sorts of things that you can do in there. All right, so it's about, if you set up your masters to be just looking as pretty and as lovely as you want all of your slides will then be automatically formatted with things such as the fonts that you're using, the size where the title sits on a slide, and so on. Okay. So we had a look at that. Other things that we looked at was we went through and had a look at then if we've got a design here, we've then got our, we can go through and pick up on things like the formatting, and it's using through the design, it's using these theme colors and so on. So it means that we don't have to change everything. We had a look at creating some boxes. So we got to do a box and we made it exactly how we wanted it to look. And then we can either use the format painter to copy that formatting around, or we can right click and say set as default shape. And then every shape that we draw will be, will change, every one that we draw in the future will have those default settings, including things like the text box and the fact that it doesn't change the shape of the text box. Remember, right-click Format Shape, go into your text options, text box, and make sure you've got Do Not Auto Fit set. Okay. So it can make all those sorts of changes. And we also did that with a line as well. So we just right-clicked and said Set as Default Line. And yeah, as I say, we had a quick look at the format painter. So if I take that format painter, I can get rid of that nasty glow from there. And I can do that again to go there. Okay, so that's just some top tips for you, some quick tips on how to make sure that you're formatting quickly in PowerPoint and you're not wasting your time. Make sure your masters is set up how you want to. Change the themes if you want to change your things like your color schemes and so on, because you see how that just flowed through. Anytime that I've done direct formatting that's not used the theme color, so if I decide not to use these theme colors, but I decide to go with something like a standard color, or I go in and I go in more fill colors, pick some random thing. Okay, now when I go in and I go to my design and I say I want a different design, it doesn't change that one. Okay, it doesn't change those ones because I directly formatted them. That's another reason why direct formatting is going to cause you problems. Because then if you ever do change your mind about what colors or themes you want to use, you're going to have to go back and direct format those again. All right. So I keep coming up with more things to tell you about. But yeah, so that comes to the end of our presentation. So get your theme colors set up correctly, use that theme that you want, get your masters done, and you're going to save yourself heaps of time. Absolutely heaps of time. Set up a box or a circle or something, and set up your lines how you want them, and right click and say set as default, and then you're going to find that that's going to flow throughout your presentation. Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'm just going to quickly launch my poll. Hang on. So we'll do my evaluation. We do really appreciate your feedback on this. If there is anything else that you want to, you'd like us to look at, then please just drop us an email, it.training@adelaide.edu.au. So let us know if there's anything else that you would like to see us doing. I'm going to leave that poll up there just for another sort of 30 seconds or so. And if anybody's frantically typing a question, if you're frantically typing a question, if you raise your hand, so I'll know not to end the meeting. Yeah. Other than that, we are pretty much done. Okay, I'm just going to close that poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. Okay. And nobody's raised their hands, so I take it there aren't any other questions. Okay, well, in that case, thanks very much for coming, everybody, and we will see you, hopefully we'll see you again next time. The recording for this should be up later on today.